And we are live. Welcome to Real Estate Radio with Damon Gettier. I'm Brett Sharp.
I'm Damon Gettier.
This is the show where we're going to talk about all things real estate, and we want to start with what's happening now. But first, if you want to reach Damon, if you're in the market to list your home, or if you've got a home you want Damon to buy, he'll make you a cash offer on it. Just go to listwithdamon.com. That's listwithdamon.com. So what's happening right now in real estate? What are you seeing in the market?
A lot of activity and a lot of uncertainty. I think that people pay too much attention to the news and not enough to their situation.
That's always.
It is always. And it's like you and I've talked to before, the number one reason people buy or sell houses is they get married, they get divorced, they have children move out of the house, job relocation, and death. And those things happen in all markets.
How many? It's 6 things, right?
6 things.
Okay.
Yep. And those happen in all markets. The only thing that doesn't happen in all markets is I want to buy a house, is the one, And so people let the news media and what's going on outside affect them to a great deal in what they're doing in real estate. And so right now there's a lot of uncertainty. A lot of people are waiting for interest rates to come down. Interest rates aren't going to come down that much. If they do come down a whole lot, then prices will go up again. So it's kind of like pick your poison. But we're selling houses. Houses are selling daily. I was just at a meeting at the Roanoke Valley Association of Realtors, and home sales are up this year. I think it's 7% over last year. The volume of sales.
Oh, I thought 7%. Homes were sitting more. I thought
they are sitting more. Earlier in the year, houses were selling faster, but right now, days on market is increasing.
Which means there's a good chance that your home is going to set longer.
It's going to take a little longer to sell your house now than it did in the last 3 or 4 years. The misconceptions the last 3 or 4 years is normal. In the last 3 or 4 years was an anomaly that's never happened in the history of the economy of the world, of the United States.
Yeah.
We've never had 2 and 3% interest rate.
We'll never see them again, will we?
We should never see them again. We should have never seen them in the first place. It artificially inflated or deflated interest rates and artificially inflated property values.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't have seen them. We did. It is what it is. Everybody needs to understand that a 6% interest rate is a good interest rate. It's a healthy interest rate for the economy.
Well, let's talk about what goes into listing a home, because I get a lot of questions about that, because I talk about you on the radio all the time. We've been doing radio advertising, you and me, for 12, 15 years, however long it's been. And I have a lot of people going, well, what goes into it? How much time does it take? What kinds of things do you recommend? Do we have to fix up a lot of stuff? What goes into listing a home when people call you and go, Damon, I've got a home I'm ready to sell?
Okay, so let's talk about 2 things. Let's talk about what goes into listing a house and what should go into listing a house.
Oh, okay.
Okay, 2 different things. So what happens is this. Normally someone wants to list a house. They reach out to you and say, hey, I'm thinking about listing my house, and they want us to, pricing on the house, give us called a comparative market analysis. And it's just, take what's sold that's a comparable house to it, how your house compares to it, your house bigger, smaller, nicer, not as nice.
Comps.
Yeah.
Comps, yeah.
And go from the comps and you establish a price like that. And then typically people have a timeline, figure out what the timeline is, they want to put it on the market, sell the house. That's the typical thing.
They give you a timeline. This is what I would like to do.
Yeah, this is what I would like to do.
Yeah.
And this is how I would like to do it.
All right.
We try to slow down the process a little bit, because there's a phrase in sales in the world is called slow down to speed up. And so sometimes we do our homework a little better on the front end, everything happens easier in the back end.
Gotcha, yeah.
And in doing so, it will save a typical seller thousands of dollars. And when people go to sell a car, they will take it to a detailer, they'll detail it, they'll wax it, they'll have it vacuumed inside, shampooed, everything. If it needs tires, they'll put new tires on it.
Shine the tires, whatever.
Yeah, do all that stuff to sell a car. And when they sell a house, they want to put a sign in the yard. And that's what really costs them thousands in sales price. But then it also costs them thousands in repairs, because typically there's always a home inspection and appraisal, and the home inspection and appraisal will point out deficiencies in the house that have to be addressed. Once they're pointed out after a sales contract is in place, then for the most part, most of the time, it has to be a licensed contractor that does the repairs, which means everything just got a lot more expensive. You are missing a pipe coming off your hot water. It's called a TP valve. It's a pop-off valve.
Yep.
Comes off the hot water heater, has to be within 6 inches of the floor. You catch it before the house goes under the contract, you literally go buy it at Lowe's for like $4. After the contract, you now have to pay a plumber $125 an hour to come out and install that pipe. And that's a gross example, but that gross example happens literally 90% of the time.
So the slow down to speed up, as I can see it, because like if I'm coming to you and I'm going, so am I going to have to put $20,000 into this house? Slowing down, making sure you get all that stuff taken care of now speeds it up in the end, and it's going to save you money and make you money.
Correct. Absolutely. Ideally, what does the seller do? Call us, meet with us. Once you call us, meet with us, what we'll do, we have people that we work with that we know, love, and trust, and we want to do a pre-inspection on the house. Why do you want to do a pre-inspection? 9 chances out of 10, probably 99 chances out of 100, whoever purchases your house is going to have a home inspection. And the home inspection is going to reveal deficiencies. Some of them are cosmetic, some of them are material, and we can do a whole show on what those two terms mean, okay? But some are cosmetic, some are material, but neither one should really be there for the most part if we've done our homework. So do a home inspection before, by a good, thorough home inspection. Do a home inspection before you put the house on the market. Look at the home inspection report, go through it, and figure out what things you're willing to address and what things you're not willing to address.
Okay, but I don't know a home inspector.
Well, I've got your home inspector. Just call me.
Okay.
I mean, and look, there are some good ones and there are some bad ones, so please call, okay? And look, this is the bad thing about the industry. Some people pick home inspectors because they don't find anything, which is great if you represent the seller. It's not great if you represent the buyer, okay? And if you're selling your house, you don't want to find a home inspector that doesn't find anything, because you're not going to be happy when the home inspector that the buyer gets finds everything, and so you thought you fixed everything on the list and you didn't. You want a good home inspection. Call us. We'll get you with a good home inspector. Do a home inspection. Go through the list. Sit down with us. Go through the list. What do I need to? What should I do? Because you have a list that's covered by the contract called material defects. Those have to be addressed, okay? They either have to be addressed or disclosed. And then you have another list that is going to be stuff that is cosmetic or matters of preference that should be addressed, don't have to be addressed, but to get top dollar, you probably should address them. Go through that, fix your house. Then stupid stuff like put mulch in your flower beds. The curb appeal is just insanely better. Trim your bushes, trim trees back, clean your gutters out, paint your threshold.
Those are all things you can do on your own.
All things you can do on your own, or some kid in the neighborhood or whatnot, or a friend or family. In my neighborhood, there's somebody always posted, hey, I've got such and such come over to clean gutters this week. Anybody need their gutters cleaned? That type of thing.
Detail your house. That's what you're doing.
That's what you're doing.
You're detailing a car. Detail your house.
Exact same thing. Painting the threshold. And what happens is people spend 30 seconds to a minute outside a door waiting for somebody to open a door to get in. And when you look at the door, if the door has dents in it, if the door has scratches on it, if the threshold's worn out, your perception of the whole house is it's already worn out.
Well, you've done some analysis, haven't you?
I've been doing this for 23 odd years.
Yeah.
It's what you do. And sales is psychology. It just really is. And so you want to present the best picture of that house possible. Is the house brand new? No, it's not. Do you want to look at it brand new? As much as possible. I want it in as presentable a manner as I possibly can. And so inside has nicks and dings on the walls. I understand your house has been lived in.
That's not the material. That's the cosmetic.
That's the cosmetic.
Yeah.
But
easy fixes.
Easy fix.
Makes all the difference in the world.
A coat of paint does wonders for a house in 2 ways. It smells clean and fresh and new, and it appears clean and fresh and new. And this is where I go a little contrary to conventional wisdom when they say everything should be white. Man, there's nothing more boring than a white house.
I was getting ready to ask you that.
I hate it.
But people go, but I want a blank palette that I can paint it how I want to. But you need to have a little.
But look, if you got a blank palette, you can paint the palette that's there.
Yeah.
As long as it's not a bold color. It's not like a red or a black or a blue that's going to take a lot of coats of kills or something. Like
it looked like Walt Disney threw up on it. Like that. Disney blue or red, yeah.
When we flip houses, we always do either a sand color or a gray color, very light shade with white trim. And the reason is it makes your trim pop. It makes your electrical outlets. It makes your switches pop with the white, makes your door frames and doors and everything. It makes everything really pop. Everything looks fresh, clean, and new when you have a little bit of color, a sandy tan, light tan, or a gray. That's what we do all the flips in, and because it makes it pop. And then, paint your baseboards, paint your trim, everything. It's funny because people get a home inspection after the sale and a light doesn't work. And they say, well, all they had to do is replace the light bulb. The home inspector's probably thinking that all you had to do was replace the light bulb. Yeah. Why did they have to replace your light bulb? You knew your light didn't work. So walk through your house, make sure your light works.
Yeah.
It's a simple thing. Fans. And if your fan has a trick, we see fans on home inspections all the time. The fan didn't operate with conventional controls. Well, because you have to do this. Well, then leave an instruction of this fan has to do this. Garage doors, sometimes they go down, the supposed to have a sensor that when they go down, if they hit a child or an object, they go back up.
Right.
Sometimes those don't work. Well, get it fixed.
Yeah.
Call a garage door company in there or a handyman and get that fixed. It's the stupid, simple things that if you fix it beforehand, you, your brother, your cousin Jeb, whoever can fix it for free or for little. After you get a contract, you have to hire a contractor to do it.
Okay, so if I'm Joe Schmo and I go, Damon, I heard you on your radio show on this weekend and I want to list my home. All I've got to do is come to you. You're going to go, I've got your guy that's going to do the inspection. Is that the first thing that's happening? I mean, you said you looked at comps, but the home inspection is one of the first things you want to have happen.
Home inspection would be one of the first things we would recommend that you do would be the home inspection. We'd recommend you do the home inspection. And
you're going to provide the home inspector for me.
When you say provide, I'm going to tell you who I would use if I were you.
Yeah.
You're totally free to use who you want, but I'm going to give you the person that I would advise that you use.
Which is someone who's vetted by you, someone that you know that you trust. And
correct. It's somebody that I know is going to do a valid inspection.
Otherwise, I'm going to have to go Google somebody and try to do my own research where you've already got the guy.
Yeah, and what you have to understand is the home inspector, he's not there to tell you what you want to know. He's there to give you a report card of the house. And
right.
That's why I say some things you have to fix, some things you don't. It's a report card of the house. This is what I see. And then you figure out what you want to address on that report card. But you want somebody that gives you an honest report card. You don't want somebody like we recently had a situation where the home inspector didn't even go in the crawl space. Well, that's a problem because there were problems in the crawl space.
Yeah, damp or whatever.
Yeah, I think this one had galvanized pipe and didn't know it had galvanized pipe because the home inspector didn't go in the... And some of the home inspectors now are using remote control cars to go in there and with the camera. Well, that sounds cool and it sounds nifty and it sounds cute, but if you have a pipe or a board or an obstruction in the basement or a crawl space, that car can no longer go further, so you can't see what's going on.
Yeah.
Like you need a human being to actually lay eyes on it. And I'm going to recommend to you human beings that are actually do that.
And I know that firsthand because he recommended people to me and they're fantastic. They're top notch. So if you're interested, and we can talk more about this, we could go on and on about listings and maybe we'll talk a little bit more about it next. But if you're interested in having Damon help you with your home, if you want to list it, if you want him to buy it, get a hold of him now. Go to listwithdamon.com. That's list, L-I-S-T with WITHDAMON.com. And we are back. This is Real Estate Radio with Damon Gettier. I'm Brett Sharp. We've been talking about listings. If you're ready to list your home, make sure you go to listwithdamon.com. That's listwithdamon.com. I've used Damon for every real estate action, I think, since I've been here, haven't I?
I think so.
It's been multiple homes, not just for me, not just for my wife, but for our son too. So I can give you firsthand advice that this guy knows how to get it done. You want to sell your home faster and for more money, go to listwithdamon.com. So where did we leave off? We were talking about listing your home. We were talking about the home inspectors and how you need a good home inspector. Who else do we need to talk to? I mean, you pretty much have everyone I need to list my home. If I hear your ad on the radio or I hear this on the radio and go, I want Damon to list my home, I come to you, what's the next step?
Yeah, we pretty much have a team in place. So, we want to do the home inspection. Then I have contractors that will help you do the repairs also.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Okay. We use a couple of them and they're
are these yours? Are these your businesses that you own?
No, they're not. No,
Okay.
They are. It's funny because they've all become friends over the years because we do so much business together. But no, they're not friends that we use or anything like that. They're not businesses I own.
You own, right?
No, they're friends of mine now because I've used them for years, and heck, one of them I coach football with now and everything. But they're not just good, but they're affordable also, and that's kind of the key thing. There's a lot of contractors out in the world, but finding one that's affordable and good, that's kind of what we're looking for in this situation.
Well, that's the thing is when I go to list my home, if I go, I don't have that particular skill set. I know that from listening to you, I know that I need to get my home in good shape, but I'm not a good painter. So you've got a guy, right? Pardon the expression.
Yeah, I've got two guys. They paint all my flips. Yeah, and their own company. They work for me, but they don't work for me, if that makes sense. They do work for me, but they're not employees of mine. It's not a company owned or anything like that, but they do really good work.
From a legal standpoint, I have to divulge everything I know is wrong with the house, right? So if I for some reason, I go, Damon, I don't want to put this work into the house. I just want to sell it. You're not going to get as much money, are you?
So, no, you don't have to divulge. I do. So a seller doesn't have to divulge anything. They sign what's called a disclaimer in Virginia. Virginia is a caveat emptor state, which means buyer beware, okay? So the seller doesn't have to disclose anything. I, the real estate professional, have to disclose anything I know or should have known.
Okay.
And the should have known is the part I don't like, because that's up to a judge to decide what I should have known. And so then people will say, like, well, do I want to do a home inspection because I don't want to disclose it? The home inspection 99 times out of 100 is going to happen, whether the seller gets one or whether the buyer gets one. And then there's also the side inspection, which is the appraisal. Some appraisals are very in-depth, some are not. Some of them think they're home inspectors, some of them think they're appraisers. It just depends on which appraiser you get. But a home inspection 99 times out of 100 is going to occur during this transaction. It just depends whether you want to initiate it on the sales side or the list side, or whether you want to wait to see what the buyer has and react.
And is it completely thorough? Tell me about the home inspection process, because I want to know. I know, like when we called you and said we want to buy this house for our son, you said we need to get the septic, snake a camera down the septic or whatever. Is that what, I can't remember. Did we hire somebody else for that, or was that the home inspector found that?
We hired somebody else for that.
We did, okay.
So we being you. So yeah. So
but you hooked me up.
I hooked you up.
And here's what you need to do.
So what happens is this, and look, the only reason I hesitate to ever give names on the radio or out without a one-on-one conversation is that people do change, and people hear something one time and then a company gets bought or sold, and 6 months later it's not the same people. And
yeah,
say,
right.
Oh, well, Damon said that. Well, Damon said that then, not now.
Right.
And so, like, if you're interested, reach out to me and I'll tell you who these people are today. That being said, so the home inspector is a home inspection, and so what does it cover? How in depth are they? It depends on your home inspector. I'm going to recommend somebody that is in depth, and the reason is you want an actual report card of the house. I'm going to recommend the same home inspector that I would recommend if you were purchasing the house.
Because I want to know roof, I want to know plumbing, I want to know electric, I want to know septic. I want somebody that's going to take care of all of it.
You want somebody that's going to look at everything. You don't want someone that's going to rubber stamp it. And there are a lot of inspectors that rubber stamp it. There are a lot of inspectors that blow stuff out of proportion. I don't want either one. I want one that gives you an actual factual report of the house with no emotion. This is what I see. This is the issue I see. Okay, that's the inspector I'm looking for. Now, a lot of people say, well, they missed this. Okay, so they're going into a 2,000 square foot structure and they're looking at it in 3 hours. Are they going to miss some stuff? Yes, they are going to miss some stuff. Are they going to miss big stuff? I hope not. I hope not. But let me give you an example of, we had a home inspection for our home inspector who was not thorough. And we had an HVAC up in an attic, and the HVAC had a pan to capture the condensation from the condensation pump.
Yeah.
It did not have an alarm or a trigger that if the condensation pump failed, that it would cut the HVAC off. And so it overflowed. It overflowed into the ceiling. The ceiling ran into the wall. The wall ran into the kitchen, ran into the cabinets. The cabinet ran all the way down to the floor. The floor went to the
that could be mold too with water, right?
Right. You want to know how much the repair was?
How much?
$42,000 because the home inspector did not.
Not a big deal for you, Damon Gettier, but for me, man, that's some big coin.
It's big coin for everybody. That's big coin for everybody. Now you're making insurance claims, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, turn it into insurance." Well, one, you got deductibles. Two, now your insurance just went up. Okay, so it's not anything you want to do, and it's just something that's totally avoidable. Because had there been a thorough inspection on the house, they would have said, "Hey, you're missing this. You're missing this one. I don't know what it is, $20, $100, $200 thing that now costs $42,000."
Yeah,
and it's just something you shouldn't have to deal with. And if you had a thorough inspection, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, just so you know how important it is to get that inspection. Just some of the deals I've done with Damon, we bought a house at Claytor Lake through you, and we bought it. I think it was $90,000. We fixed it up, did some stuff, lived in it for a while, used it for a while, and I miss it now. By the way, I wish I wouldn't have sold it, but we sold it at the top of the market. Bought it for 90, sold it for over 200,000 because of the things that you suggested to do, and it was all easy stuff. It was simple painting. It was stuff that you go, oh, actually, I can do this. You run into people who don't want to get inspections because they're trying to save a buck, or you have those people
on the buy side or the list side,
which I don't know, whichever, either.
So we recommend everybody get one, and I do not get compensated if anybody gets a home inspection. I want to make that clear.
Yeah.
But we also are very clear when I say we push it to the point, like, I don't buy a flip without a home inspection, and I use that home inspection as my repair list to repair for my flip. Or if I'm going to do a buy and hold, if I'm buying a house to rent it out, I use that home inspection as my repair list for that house.
Yeah.
So I don't buy a house without home inspection. So why in the heck am I going to advise you to not do it?
Yeah.
Like, if you don't get a home inspection, you could be a fool, maybe a fool. You should have a home inspection.
Yeah.
You wouldn't buy a car without taking it to a mechanic to have them check it out. So why would you buy a home? Why would you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on something and not get a home inspection? And look, during COVID, we had many people they had to pass on home inspections to get houses. There were 10, 20, 30, 40 offers on houses. After they lost, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 offers, they were waiving home inspections, doing all this. Every single one that waived home inspection, they shouldn't have done it. It was a nightmare.
What kind of things can you find? What kind of if you were to waive it, tell me some of the worst things you've seen.
I had two personally. One of them was an ex-relative of mine that bought a house and it didn't have any carpet in. They said, oh, the carpet needed to be replaced. We're going to give you credit for the carpet and everything. They waived home inspection and they moved into the house, and no, it wasn't the carpet needed to be replaced. The house had flooded, and in between all the layers of the floor was black mold, and in the walls, I can't remember, it was either 12 or 18 inches up, and all the walls was black mold. They spent, somewhere between $80,000 to $100,000 fixing that house.
Can you get rid of black mold?
You can. And look, with money, you can do anything.
Well, right.
With money, you can do anything.
Well, I know you, but I'm not talking about, I know ripping it out and reframing it, but can it be fixed?
Yeah, it can be fixed.
Okay.
Yeah, it can be fixed. The problem is that homeowners didn't fix that claim because they bought it like that and they didn't do a home inspection. It was a pre-existing thing and they didn't do a home inspection. So they didn't do, in the insurance company's minds, they didn't do their due diligence to avoid that. I'll give you another example. There's a house there's two houses in Pulaski. We just bought one. We had a contract on both. We did a home inspection on both. One of them we walked from because it was eaten up by termite. Okay. We bought the one next to it. Talking to Jay, my partner, last night. You know Jay.
Yeah.
And partner last night, he said the guy next door that just bought the house walked over and asked if we wanted to buy it. I said, no. Why do you want to sell it? He said, well, it's eaten up with termites. I got a bulldozer. And which is why we didn't buy it, because it was eaten up with termites.
Yeah.
But this guy was sold this house by somebody, all right, who did not disclose that. The seller doesn't have to disclose. They're not allowed to conceal.
Gotcha.
They don't have to tell you about it, but they can't hide it. Okay. This guy bought this house. I think he paid $80,000 or $90,000 for it, and he's got to bulldoze it. Like, why people don't get a home inspection baffles me. You're saving $400, $500, $600 that could cost you literally hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And it could be anything. I remember, and I don't know if it was you that was telling me this, but there were drainage problems, which a simple French drain just corrected the problem. And it cost hundreds, maybe $1,000, but it was pretty simple to put in a French drain, because drainage water is always an issue with homes, isn't it?
Water, termite, biggest issues we have, especially because we're in the hills here. We're in the mountains, so water runs downhill. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
Water runs downhill, and we have negative slope to a lot of these houses, where negative slope is just slope towards the house instead of away from the house, and water's an issue. French drains can fix a vast majority of it. We also have houses that have springs under them, where it comes up under the slab. You have to do sump pumps or waterproofing system. It's one of those things of,
Why would you build a house over a spring?
you don't know it.
Okay.
You don't know it, and a lot of times it
Is there
doesn't
not
happen.
a way to check for that ahead of time?
Well, it's wet weather springs. So, example, my house has never had water in it. Never had water in it. That rain we had probably 4 weeks ago, when it rained 3.5 inches in 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I had water come up in my basement, and it's called hydrostatic pressure, which means the water level rises so fast. The water has to go somewhere. And where can it go? Well, this great big dry spot, in the earth, because your water sinking down through the soil acts as a cap. And so the dry spot then becomes underneath their house. And when you pour your slab inside your house, it shrinks just that little 1/8 of an inch around all the footers, and the water will just seep in over that.
So were you like, I got to get this fixed, or is it a fix, or is it just one of those things you have to live with?
I've lived there for 9 years. It's a once in 9 year event. It is what it is.
It happens.
It happens.
Yeah.
So
So how long can I expect the inspection process to take and I guess this is probably an open-ended question, there are variables, but how long can I expect from the time I call Damon Gettier, you'll get me in contact with an inspector? How long does the process take before it's fully inspected and I get a report?
depending how busy the inspector is, 3 to 10 days.
Okay, so within 2 weeks.
Yeah, within 2 weeks.
So this can happen quickly. And how much, I guess it depends on the size of the house and the depth of the house, but how much is an inspection? How much would that cost me? Just a ballpark.
It's based purely on square footage.
Okay.
So $400 to $800 for the inspection.
Under $1,000 bucks.
Under $1,000. If you go for septic inspections, those get more expensive, and septic becoming a real issue. And we should do, like the next segment we do here today, to be on septic.
Let's do that.
Change the law on septic this year.
Let's talk about septic, and let's talk about Orangeburg pipe, which I learned from you. We'll do that next. If you're ready to list your home, I highly recommend you call Damon Gettier. Go to listwithdamon.com if you want to get a cash offer for your home. If for some reason you're upside down or you're behind or you're going into foreclosure, don't wait. Now's the time. Go to listwithdamon.com. That's listwithdamon.com. You have found us. This is Real Estate Radio with Damon Gettier. Damon Gettier and Associates Realtors, powered by Real. And Real is your brokerage, right?
That's right.
And this is a show all about real estate. We're talking about listings. If you're interested in listing your home with Damon, go to listwithdamon.com. Damon is the #1 real estate agent for homes sold in Roanoke, Lynchburg, and NRV, meaning what? What does that mean?
That we have sold more houses in those locations than anybody else.
Yeah, more homes than anyone else. And you are top 25 in the nation for real, right?
Correct.
Which means you've got an agent that has, on average, sold a home every single week of the year.
That's different. So I've got 3 agents this year that have averaged a house every single week. But no, top 25 for real means that our team in the Real organization, which has 30,000 agents, our team is in the top 25 for units sold.
You outproduce all the other agents in Real.
Correct.
Yeah. Top 25, man. That's legit. Congratulations. So listwithdamon.com is how you reach them. Listwithdamon, DAMON.com. So we were talking about the last segment. We were talking about listing your home, and a lot of the frequently asked questions are a lot about inspections. And something I found when you had me inspect the home that we bought, Hannah and I, my wife and I bought for our son Noah, you said that home was built in 1970. You need to check the septic because back then they used a product called Orangeburg pipe.
Orangeburg pipe, yep.
Yeah, and that tends to cave in on itself over time and deteriorate. I know it was pretty standard back then, but we checked it, and by golly, that's exactly what had happened. You want to explain that, what that even means?
Yeah, so Orangeburg pipe, it's kind of a clay pipe. It's orange, hence the name. And it's kind of a clay pipe that they put together by basically just butting it together. And there's kind of 2 intrinsic problems with that. First is that because it is a clay product, it will deteriorate over age. It does not take ground pressure very well. If you drive over it with anything heavy, it can crush. Water will eventually kind of rot it so that it deteriorates. And the biggest problem is that it has a lot of joints, and those joints are very susceptible to tree roots. And if you have a maple within the vicinity, if you can see a maple from your house and you have Orangeburg pipe, it's probably in your septic system. That's a slight exaggeration, but I would say if there's a maple tree within 75 or 100 feet of your septic field, it is in your pipe. And it being in your pipe is a problem.
Now, see, I would have not thought about maple trees. I think willow trees have this amazing root system, but so maple, what about like pine? And what are the other trees?
Pines have a very small root base.
Okay.
They have a very small root base.
You've got to be a horticulturist as well as a real estate agent, don't you?
Or a maple identifier.
Yeah.
Because maples are our problems. Like if you talk to a septic person, maples are the problem. They run to water. And it's like they're a beautiful tree. They're a lovely tree in your whichever yard does not have a septic system. But if you have a septic system, maple is your enemy.
Do you get rid of it?
If it's anywhere in the vicinity of your septic system, absolutely. There's no fixing it. You just have to get rid of it.
But that's the thing is you can cut the tree down, but the root system remains. How do you kill out the roots? You got to hire somebody to do that?
One of 2 things. One, I'd scope the lines. I'd send a camera down the lines to find out what it does look like. If it's not bad, Lowe's does sell a poison that you can flush down the drains that will kill the roots. That means they're still there. Eventually they'll rot out. Or you can actually route them out. And the only problem is if we go back to Orangeburg again, routing out in Orangeburg, it can be done. It's just got to be done very carefully.
Well, you had me call a company and they came out. Again, we'll keep all the names off the air, but the company came out and they did a fantastic job, but they got rid of all the Orangeburg pipe. They had to redo the distribution box. And I think the actual septic tank was fine, which is typically concrete.
Correct. The distribution box is normally where your issues occur.
Yeah.
If
That's where the affluent gets distributed.
Right. If they make it back to your septic septic tank, you got problems because it's made it all the way from the lines to the distribution box all the way up to the septic tank. You've got problems. But, and I'll give you a couple examples, real world examples that happened to us on houses we were buying. And one of them is we got a passing septic from a septic inspector. We're buying a house that's out on Route 11. We got a passing inspection. And I was like, that's cool. And in conversation with Jay, and Jay and I were talking about, I'm like, well, hold on a second. How do we get a passing inspection when the well doesn't work? Because part of the inspection for a septic system is they run the water till 300 to 500 gallons goes through the system so they can make sure everything's flowing. Well, how do we do that with no water? It's impossible. And so we called the second company, the one that sent to your house, and he goes out there. He sends us a picture. He opened up the septic tank, and he is standing on the root ball, which is in a rectangular. It's filled the septic tank.
Wow.
Bottom to top, wall to wall.
Wow. So it grew in there.
It's a solid root ball of maple roots in there. In a $1,000 or $1,500 tank. It is a solid ball that he could stand on of roots.
Is it past the point of rescue at that point? You got to redo everything?
Everything had to be redone.
Wow.
Yeah, so we walked from that house. It's a whole nother set of problems because now you have to get perk tests again. And some of the houses that have septic systems were pre-perk tested. You can't get a perk test, and then you got to engineer system. It's a whole can of worms. Second situation, this time we called this company. First time went out is off Plantation Road. He went out there and same situation. The septic tank was full of root ball, was wall to wall, and that one was a very small lot. You could not do a septic in. Sewer was not available, and so we walked from that because there's just nothing you can do with that house. And I would tell you, it's like people don't want to spend the money to do a septic inspection, and I mean, like, no pun intended, it's a poopy problem, and nobody, like, if it doesn't go out, it stays in. So if you hit the flush and it can't go out, it's going to come right back into your house.
Yeah.
If you've never had a septic backup, I can tell you it's a horrible problem. We'll make a caveat real quick. If you have a septic system or sewer system, you should always have septic sewer backup insurance. It's very cheap. It's like $12 to $15 a year in the insurance policy. It will save you thousands and thousands in cleanup fees and nastiness.
Is that something you tell people when they list their home?
Every single time.
Okay.
No, we tell them when they buy their house. Every single time.
Or when they buy,
It's actually in a disclosure that we have. It's our company disclosure telling them they should get septic sewer backup coverage because it is a stinky, nasty problem. And either you pay somebody to clean it up or you clean it up. And nobody likes cleaning up feces.
Yeah, it's amazing to me the stuff that you know. I remember a time when we had our lake house when I walked in and I was like, why does it smell like sewer gas? I smell sewage gas. And you said, and I remember this like it was yesterday, run your water in the sink because the P-traps have evaporated and it's letting the sewer gas. Sometimes it's simple stuff. Sometimes it's not always the big stuff.
Yeah.
But when I had my septic fixed and it was your people and you told me what to do, I'm thinking it was only I think it was less than $2,000 to get the whole thing. They rebuilt the distribution box, replaced all the Orangeburg pipe, put in a cap where they could access it because there wasn't an access point. All that was under $2,000.
Yeah, they are, so far, they have been very reasonable. But a lot's changed this year. I want to talk about what's changed this year because a lot's changed this year. So, unfortunately, unbeknownst to anybody in the real estate industry, a law in Virginia snuck through the agricultural committee. Didn't come through real estate, came through the agricultural committee that set a standard for how septic inspections have to be done going forward. Now, hopefully this law is changed next July, but we're stuck with it until next July. And on this septic inspection, which I do think a septic inspection is good, and we've always advocated for putting a camera down the system and looking at the system and everything. But what this new law states is that it states what a septic inspection is and what it has to be. And the only way it can be amended is by agreement between the parties. And what it says is that the tank has to be opened and pumped, the lines have to be opened, and the distribution tank has to be opened and inspected
before the home is purchased.
If there is a septic inspection, that's what it must entail. The problem with that is that opening up lines is unreasonable. Like, you're not digging lines up. It's unreasonable. You can send cameras down lines. You don't need to dig them up, okay? It's also
that's what that means? That you have to open the ground and get to
open the ground.
Wow, okay.
And that's unreasonable.
So that's a law. So legally, you have to do that.
Legally, it has to be done if there's a home inspection, unless there's agreement by the parties.
Oh, gotcha. I understand.
Okay. So how this law came about is wacky. So the Virginia Septic Association or whatever it's called, they came up with this law. They drafted it. They sent it to the agricultural committee, and in doing so, they bypassed all of the checks and balances that would normally happen. The law is, and anybody wants to read it, I can send it to them. It's totally crazy. It actually says that the septic inspector can no longer say that it passes or fails. They're not legally allowed to say it passes. They're not legally allowed to say it fails. They have to give an evaluation, but I really don't know what the evaluation is because you can't say it passed, you can't say it failed.
Yeah.
Which takes all liability away from the inspector. It also says in there that anything they find, you should have a licensed inspector evaluate, but they are the licensed inspector.
So who created that law?
They did. Oh, they created this law. This is, in my opinion, this is strictly my opinion, okay? Please don't sue me for my opinion. In my opinion, this was a money grab. This is a way for them to say, hey, you have to get all these inspections done, because these inspections now that went from hundreds went to thousands. And not only did they go to thousands, but there's no liability for the inspector whatsoever.
Gotcha.
Because they cannot say it passed, they cannot say it failed. They just give you a report on what they find. But I don't know how you're supposed to know if it failed or not, because they can't tell you it failed. They can't give you a grade. They can't say a 1 out of 10 is a 6 or a 9, or they can't do anything. They just give you a report with status.
So this just got passed at the beginning of the year?
It got passed. It snuck through the committee in, I think, April. Nobody knew about it until late May, when all of a sudden it's like, uh-oh. And in Virginia, the legislature was out of session. They refused to come back in session to address it, so it will not be addressed until next spring to go into law next July 1st.
Wow. So are people pretty amenable to agreeing to bypass that law?
Everybody's just trying to figure it out right now.
Yeah.
And the inspection can only be done by a licensed, I don't have the law in front of me. It's a licensed inspector or a licensed, basically it's an installer. It's not the word, but it's an installer. And so who used to be able to do them has been trimmed down from many to few. And then there's some people that are just older, they're not going to do it. They're not going to go through all the rigmarole that they have to do it. They just said, I'm not doing it. And so our options for inspectors have been greatly reduced. The company did yours, are one that does that. And it's been greatly reduced. And so our timelines have been extended and here's the other caveat. Remember, they wrote the law. So once they do the inspection, they have 10 days to get us the report. And so like our typical real estate transaction, start to close from under contract to close in this market, it's about 30 days. And so because they're backed up, sometimes it's 3 weeks before they can do an inspection. Okay. So 3 weeks, 21 days. Well, if they need 10 days to do the report, we're out past closing before you even have a report saying whether or not there's an issue. And if there's an issue, now I got to fix it. Well, who do I have to fix it? I only have about 3 or 4 people that can fix it. Okay. And so if they can't schedule it for 2, 3, 4 weeks, now I'm out 60 days trying to get a house closed. So it's created issues that what I suggest to a seller, if you have septic, and by the way, we pulled the numbers today in a meeting I was in, and it looks like 39% of all the listings on the market currently have septic systems. So if you have a septic system, I would highly advise you, when you list it, you get the septic pump and get it inspected. Get the tank and distribution box inspected at that point. Then what I would suggest is that you provide that evidence to the buyer. If the buyer wants to do more, it's on the buyer.
There you go. These are the kind of things you don't know to ask about a lot of the times, but Damon Gettier does, of Damon Gettier and Associates Realtors, powered by Real. You want to list your home? You want these things taken care of? Go to listwithdamon.com. That's listwithdamon.com. We are back. Welcome to Real Estate Radio with Damon Gettier. I'm Brett Sharp. Again, to reach Damon, go to listwithdamon.com. That's listwithdamon.com. That'll give you the telephone number to call. And what is on that landing page? What all's on there?
Landing page is just a form to fill out so that we can contact you so that we can further assist you.
There you go. So you want to list your home, go there. If you are interested in Damon giving you a cash offer for your home, you're buying homes right now too, right?
Buying homes every week. Yes,
okay. Sir. Roanoke, Lynchburg, NRV, all everywhere.
All areas in between.
And by the way, I hear this a lot. I just want to mention this real quick because a lot of times because people hear me talking about you on my radio show on Star Country and they go, my house only lists for like $250,000. Damon probably doesn't have time to fool with mine. What's your answer to that?
The lowest I've ever sold is $7,000.
Okay.
So if it is sellable, I'm more than happy to sell it.
There you go. So cabins to castles is what I say.
Yep.
You'll sell them all. So we've been talking about listing your home and we've been talking about inspections, specifically septic. Anything else we need to mention about septic? Because I know you can go on all day about septic.
We could go all day about septic. Easiest thing is if you have a house on a septic, just reach out and we'll discuss, how to progress through that. And it's not
as opposed to city water or whatever.
Yeah, as opposed to, Public water.
Public, yeah.
Don't be scared of it. I mean, it is what it is. We have to deal with it, okay? And it's not oppressive. It's just more of a pain in the butt than it was in years past. It's easy to work through. You just got to know the steps to do it.
Well, while we're talking about water and septic and such, what about water? What about wells? What about, let's talk about the other stuff that needs to be inspected.
So wells aren't nearly as difficult, but it is something we need to address. So if you have a well, I highly suggest that you shock the well when you list your house. And
what does that mean?
Shock the well. Wells get bacteria. They just do. Pretty much, even your well at your house, probably needs to be shocked about once a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that something I can do, or I have to pay somebody
No,
to
you
do
can
it?
do it. I have the instructions. I'll email them to you.
Okay.
And it's a process, okay? It's not a fun process. It's a good Saturday process when it's not too hot, not too cold, because it's going to take a couple hours to do. It's not like a couple hours of continuous effort. It's just a couple hours to set alarm and you watch.
Okay.
And the bacteria gets in wells, and it just does, okay? But the problem is that once you do a home inspection, they're going to pull a water sample. They're going to do your sewer. They're going to send the water sample off to the lab to be analyzed, and then if it fails, then you have to shock it. Then they come back and test it again. It's just incurred expense, and it's extra incurred expense and frustration and time that you don't really need to do, and it will delay closing.
Okay.
And that's what you don't want to do, is delay closing. And so what you want to do is, and look, the water test tests for multiple things: E. chloride, total chloroform, lead, nitrites. We can't do anything about. They're there, or they're not there. But the total chloroform, E. chloride, we can do something about, and that's what a shock does. And so, to put it simply, what you do, you have to have a water hose, you have to have chlorine tablets, or a cup of bleach, not a gallon of bleach, not a gallon of bleach. More is not better.
Mm-hmm.
More is not better.
More is not good?
More is not good.
Okay.
I had a house years and years and years ago. We put a gallon of bleach down. It took literally 5-6 days to get it out of the system.
Oh.
And we felt like every time somebody took a shower in there, they're going to have orange hair. Okay, gallon's just too much. But basically what you do with the bleach is you pour it down the well casing, trying to get it kind of around the casing, kind of to swath the casing.
Where the wellhead is, you open the wellhead.
Yep, open the wellhead.
Okay.
And then you go open an outside faucet till you smell bleach. Once you smell bleach, you go in, you run every inside faucet, hot and cold. You run the dishwasher cycle, you run the fridge.
Maybe not your washing machine just yet.
No, you do your washing machine.
With no clothes in it.
No clothes.
Okay.
No clothing in it. Or you can do a load of whites if you want.
Okay.
But run a washer cycle in it, run your shower, run everything that requires water. And what people forget is dishwashers, ice makers, and fridge. But the problem is if there's bacteria in the line, it will backfeed in the line. Meaning if you forget your ice maker or your water in your fridge, you don't do it, and it sits there for a couple of days, that bacteria will backfill. It's not a valve that stops it from going backwards. Run all that stuff. Once you smell bleach, once you've done all that, then you go back out to your water hose, go to your well, and you run your water hose down your well. And you do that because you do not want to run your well dry, okay?
Yeah.
And so you want to cycle that through, and it just cycles through, and as that water's going down the well, that bleachy water is going around the well casing down, and it goes down and down and down and down. And, it takes about 4 or 5 hours to do everything, and then you just run it till you don't smell bleach.
Until you don't smell bleach. Now, Is there a specific kind of bleach? I know that's a silly question, but it just Clorox bleach?
Your choice is 99 cents or $2.99. I would splurge and just go I don't think there's a difference.
There's bleach now that's like non-splashable bleach. Seriously, I bought it because we have to put it in our garbage can because of bears. It keeps the bears out, but there's non-splashable and it's like gooey almost. It's disgusting. You know what I'm talking about?
No, most people listening are going to use regular Clorox, and that's what I suggest they use.
That's the thing. I'm not making that up.
Hey, Brett, it's your story. You tell it however you want, but I would just use Clorox.
All right, well, let me ask you this because now I'm interested. What about Rinnai water heaters? I've got a tankless water heater. Is there stuff you have to do with that? Do you have to get those?
You should run it through the water.
Okay. But they're going to test if you've got well water, you're going to get your water tested.
They're going to test it. If you get a government loan, they have to.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you do a FHA or a VA, they have to test it.
The house that you sold me on up on the mountain, the first time we tested the water and had to put in, it was NO3P or whatever the tank was. I think there was an acidity to the water. Maybe it kind of neutralized the acid or something. I don't know.
If you use tankless hot water heaters, you have to be a little more careful with the water quality.
Yeah.
Because however they do their thing, some of the minerals in the water will eat the hot water heater up.
Oh.
So the tankless hot water heaters do need to be cleaned and maintained every year. So hopefully you're doing that.
I haven't done that yet.
Doing that.
Yeah.
So if you're on city water,
descaling it, I read about it.
So So knock
Do you
on
know how
wood.
to do that? Can you come over and do that to mine?
I do know how to do it.
Do you?
Yeah, let me give you a plumber's name.
Oh, okay.
Actually, you know the plumber because we use the same plumber.
Okay.
Yeah, you do need to do that. Ask Jay.
Okay.
If you don't believe me, ask Jay because Jay's on a well and didn't do it, and he had the pleasure of replacing it. It was about $2,000.
Yeah. Yeah. So what else about the water? So well, but not city water is, I keep saying city, public water.
Public water.
I mean, is that also an inspection process?
Nope.
Okay.
I will say though, if you're on sewer and you are in Roanoke County, most Roanoke City, most Roanoke County, Benton, and some of the outlying areas, there is a thing called an I&I inspection that we always, we call for that the day we list. And it's an inflow and infiltration inspection. Doesn't cost anything. See, something free.
Hey.
All right. And so it's done by the Virginia Western Water Authority, or Western Virginia Water Authority. It's done by them. There's two guys that do it. They come out there, and what they're looking for is someone at some point thought that the reason that our water treatment plant was being overrun was because of people running gutters into the septic sewer system and floor drains from stairwells going down to basements and everything being run. So now they do a test on them to see if there's any groundwater that is being put into the sewer system. Thousands of houses sold, 5, 6, 7,000 houses sold. I think we've had 4 houses ever fail the test, but you still have to do it. So the sale triggers the inspection. So every buyer is going to ask you to do it. It's in the contract. They're going to ask you to do it because the sale triggers the inspection. And so if you don't do it, then within 6 months of the sale, they're going to show up to do it, and any repairs will be on the buyer. So the buyer 100% of the time is going to always ask the seller to do an I&I inspection. Easiest time to do that is the day you list, because that list, to get on that list, sometimes it takes a week, 2 weeks, 5 weeks to get it done. You need that done. You need that scheduled the day one so that when you go to close, you don't have an I&I inspection holding you up.
So if you go into a house, and let's just, because we've only got like 4 or 5 minutes here left, and we could go all day about inspections. What about inspecting the pipes? An inspector will go through and basically just see if there's any leaks, right? Because I mean, I know there are a lot of houses that still have copper and sputted pipes, but isn't PVC kind of the way to go?
Yeah, copper's good. There's nothing wrong with copper.
Oh, okay.
Copper's good. No, copper's good. What you want to look for and what the inspector's going to look for, and they're going to raise major red flags for, is polybutylene. There's millions and millions and millions of dollars in lawsuits for polybutylene. And I think it's the pipe that wasn't bad. It's the connection that was bad. Polybutylene is an issue.
What is it?
Polybutylene pipe. It looks like plastic, but it is a plastic.
From what era? From what, like the 50s or 60s?
No. Now you're going to...
Okay, that's all right.
Me. It was used in the 90s.
Oh, okay.
And so if I had to, I should know. Maybe I should have. Maybe I don't know because I hate it. Probably 80s and 90s.
Okay.
When it was.
Okay.
But it's polybutylene pipe. That is an issue. And because it's not something about if it's going to fail, it's when it's going to fail. It's going to fail at some point. Just don't know what point. And so polybutylene pipe is a problem. Galvanized pipe can be a problem. And the reason with galvanized pipe is galvanized pipe corrodes from the outside, from the inside out. And so from the outside, the pipe looks perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And it's the inside. And that's another pipe. It's not if it's an issue, it's when it's an issue.
Yeah.
Because it will be an issue at some point. It can look and feel and function perfectly fine, and it could be all but rusted out on the inside.
What about, and I will kind of end with this, but we've talked about septic, we've talked about water. One thing in the house that we live in now that you sold me, we had to do, we did a radon test, and they had to put a thingy in there. What's that?
Radon mitigation system. So radon is this invisible gas that kills.
That's a carcinogen, isn't it?
Carcinogen, yeah. It's the second leading cause of lung cancer behind smoking. So it's
really?
Serious. And I'll tell you what's sad, and it really is sad, because quite often we deal with a lot of estates, and quite often we get an estate where somebody died of cancer, and we'll go in, and when we test the house, it's stupid high on radon.
Oh, man.
And what will happen is radon's deadly. In higher doses, it's deadly. It's a death sentence if you smoke.
Oh, the two combined.
Yeah, it's the two combined. And smoking does so much damage to your lungs. And then the lungs do have a propensity to try to heal themselves. And radon stops that. Radon sits there and shreds your lung. And so the two combined is a death sentence, unfortunately. The EPA set a standard of 4.0's failing, 3.9's passing. How did they pass that? They picked a number out of their hat, okay? Every house has radon. Every house has some element of radar. Some water, some well water has radon in it. It's just you can't really do anything with what's in the well water. It's a natural gas that comes from the granite formations in our soil.
Oh, okay.
And so it's in every house. So if you have it, don't freak. You want it less than 4.0. The lower the better. You'll never get it to zero. There is no house with zero. You have to test a house if it's condo, third level or below. So if you're a third floor condo, you still have to test for radon.
Huh.
You don't have to.
What they do is they
should.
drill a hole in your foundation and pipe it out, don't they?
They drill a hole in the foundation floor. And then they dig a cavern under the floor, an air pocket under the floor, usually about 5 gallons worth, and put the pipe in, glue it in, put it out, pipe it out of the house. It has a motor that sticks on the inside of the house or the outside. It's not the most attractive motor in the world, but it's just a motor that sits there and it suctions the air out constantly. The added benefit to it is it does make a musty basement dry.
Oh, there you go. And it's really, the motor is virtually silent.
Yeah, it's silent.
And it's not that expensive. I think mine was $500 or $600, maybe $700.
Yeah, we've had some price increases since then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're going to be anywhere from $900 to $1,050
Okay.
on a normal house. We have had a house one time that had a radon level of 89, which is ridiculously high, and it was an old house been added on to many times, and that had I think 20 or 40 suction points, and that was ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
But that's again once out of 5,000-6,000.
Yeah,
houses.
there you go. Well, these are all things that is important for you to know, and Damon Gettier of Damon Gettier and Associates Realtors, powered by Real, knows it. His team knows all about these things. Everything you need to know, they already know and they have an answer for. If you're ready to list your home, go to listwithdamon.com. That's listwithdamon.com.